Hi, Divas. Welcome to my YouTube channel where I talk about literally whatever I want to, but mostly books. But today, we're not going to be talking about books. I don't know if I really need to explain this, but I'm going to anyway. I named my channel But Mostly Books because I knew that I wanted to enter the booktube space, but I also wanted to have the freedom to talk about my other hobbies and interests. So, I mean, if you're new here, welcome. Usually I talk about books, but today I'm going to be talking about one of my other all-encompassing interests, and that is Drag Race, but specifically Canada's Drag Race. So I love Canada's Drag Race. I feel like I am the unofficial and unpaid advertiser and like promoter of Canada's Drag Race in a way. In terms of like my personal life, I've gotten multiple people in my life to watch Canada's Drag Race. And now I'm going to sell you guys on it, or if you've seen it, just, take a little trip down memory lane. Now, you may be asking why Canada's Drag Race specifically as opposed to American RuPaul's Drag Race. And the first reason is that Canada is not hosted by RuPaul, it's hosted by Brooklyn Heights. Now, I do enjoy RuPaul as a host and as a judge sometimes, but he can get a little bit crazy with his choices. And like, don't get me wrong, Canada's Drag Race has its fair share of like insane judging choices. But I feel like the type of drag that I appreciate is the same type of drag that Brooklyn appreciates, whereas I don't particularly relate or love the style of drag that I feel like RuPaul loves nowadays, if that makes sense. Also, there is no avoiding the fact that RuPaul has had his fair share of controversies. I like don't want to get into them because they're not particularly important, but I mean, Brooklyn Heights is just a little bit of an easier sell as a host than RuPaul is, I feel like. I've had like multiple people say that like part of the reason why they haven't gotten into Drag Race quite yet is because they don't love RuPaul as a person and they don't really want to support her. And I think that that's totally fair. And I think that Canada's Drag Race is an incredible way to engage in Drag Race culture and still not like directly support RuPaul, or like directly like see her on the screen all the time at least. The second reason I love Canada's Drag Race is that they're always doing interesting challenges and twists. I just love seeing what the divas over there are coming up with. We will get into some of the twists that they do in this video. And the third reason that I love Canada's Drag Race is that it is just simply good television. The queens over there are extremely talented. Canada has some of my favorite queens, some of my favorite runways, some of my favorite lip syncs, some of my favorite challenges, and what we're going to be talking about today, some of my favorite fights. So today I'm going to be acting as the unpaid WoW Presents Plus salesperson and just give you a sell as to why you should watch Canada's Drag Race by looking at these fights. And if you've already seen Canada's Drag Race, just take a trip down memory lane. We are going to be talking about some of the most iconic moments in the franchise. In my opinion, let me just say, I chose these fights based off of like what were my favorites, the ones that I wanted to talk about, and ones that I think are just like really silly and that I think are like good sells of the show. But like there are so many fights in this franchise. The girls over there just simply do not give a fuck. And I feel like they all love each other very deeply. And that comes across, and you see that in the show. And so, like, because they love each other very deeply, they don't really have a problem with like fighting with their best friend in the competition and being like, I think that you should die in a ditch. Because like at the end of the day, they're gonna be like hugging and kikiing and crying in front of the mirror tomorrow. The other thing I love about Canada's Drag Race, I was rewatching season 2 with one of my friends, and Isis Couture says something along the lines of like, Canada's Drag Race is about celebrating your authentic self, which I feel like could just be like a throwaway line in like any episode of Drag Race, but I do feel like that is especially true for Canada's Drag Race. I feel like CDR, more than any other franchise, really just emphasizes celebrating yourself and your history and your culture. In my script, I wrote, "The celebration of culture is so vibrant in this show," which is a crazy way to phrase that, but I do feel like that's true. I also wanted to do this because season 6 just wrapped up a couple of weeks ago. It was an incredible season. Congratulations to the girls. I also feel like it is a pretty good introductory point for Canada's Drag Race. It is like one of the best seasons that they've come out with. And I've also heard through the rumor mill, which, could be completely incorrect. Wow, don't sue me. This is just what I've heard in the streets. But apparently, Canada's Drag Race All Stars is happening, which I'm so excited about. They've had Canada versus the world, which is just its whole other can of worms. We don't even have time to get into that. But I am really happy if it's true that they're doing just a Canada All Stars. I'm very happy about that. I think that that is what they should have done from the beginning, and I'm very excited to see some of the divas back. And I am going to be petitioning for some of my favorite queens to come back. If Canada's Drag Race All Stars is happening, which again, I don't know. But if it is, I know that the people from WoW are watching this because my impact and my power is just so massive. So, like, make sure that these divas are on there. Also, since I'm acting as a salesperson, I'm going to try and keep this spoiler free as much as I can. So, I'm not going to tell you, like, who wins the season. I'm going to try my best not to spoil the finalists. But for contextual purposes, I am probably going to tell you who wins that episode. If somebody goes home that episode that's important to the storyline, I'm probably going to tell you about that. So, like, general light spoilers, but nothing that will, like, ruin your enjoyment watching the show. Which, like, even I think if you knew who won the season, your enjoyment wouldn't be ruined, but, like, I obviously don't really want to spoil that for new viewers. All right, so the first fight that we're going to be talking about is season 3, episode 4, which might be the most Canadian fight on this list because the girls aren't particularly yelling at each other. It's more of like an inception of storylines that have been building up for the past couple of weeks that just collide and explode in that Untucked. So even if the girls aren't like throwing drinks at each other, the tension is so palpable. It's crazy. Also, you are going to see a couple of common themes of what makes a good Canada's Drag Race fight in terms of like before the fight even starts. Most of the time, the design challenges have a really juicy Untucked, and most of the time, when Brooklyn asks who should go home tonight and why, you're gonna get a good Untucked. And both of these things happened in this episode. Like I said, it was a design challenge. The queens were tasked to make outfits and they were all given the exact same material. So it was kind of like a who wore it better challenge. I'm going to explain the key players in this fight before we get into it. The first person you should know about is Jada Shada Hudson, who had been doing okay in the competition so far. At this point, she had a win, but she also had already lip synced, and this is only episode 4. And she was in the bottom for this look, which is just a very interesting look. The other queen who would end up being in the bottom with her and is also a key player in this fight is Chaos. Chaos had also been doing kind of like so-so in the competition. In my opinion, had a significantly better look. Miss Fierce Delicious is also going to be a very important person in this fight. I need her back on television, and I think after this fight you will understand why. Miss Fierce Delicious has been described as bratty, petulant, annoying, childish, and all of those things are true. Fierce was safe this challenge, but she did previously have kind of a moment with Kimmy Couture, who is also going to be important. A couple of weeks before they worked together in a challenge, they had a really big fight. They like did not work well together. Kimmy was pissed the fuck off. Fierce was being like really mean and bratty. But like also something kind of important to know, I feel like, is like both of them were in the top and Kimmy Couture ended up winning the challenge. So like yeah, Fierce bullied her, but like at the end of the day, Kimmy won the challenge. So like, but we're not talking about episode 2, Diva. We're talking about episode 4. And the other key player in this fight is Bombay, who had also been doing kind of so-so in the competition. But she was in the top this episode, which was strange considering this was her look. So, like I said, Brooklyn asks who should go home tonight and why to all of the girls while they're getting critiqued.
Now, before you go, we have an important question to ask each of you. Who do you think should go home tonight and why?
Everybody says Jada Shada Hudson except for Jada Shada Hudson and Bombay, who both say Chaos.
I would have to pick Chaos.
I would say Jada.
I would say Jada too. I'm so sorry. I love you.
I'm sorry, baby, but also you.
I'll have to say Chaos.
I would also say Jada.
In Untucked, the girls are discussing who said who and why, and it's very clear that Jada is pressed. And when Bombay said that she picked Chaos, Chaos confronts her and says,
I'm most pissed off at that, I'm not gonna lie.
Chaos confronts Bomb by saying, like, you told me my outfit looked good in the workroom, and then you said my name on stage. It felt like kind of a backstabby moment.
I talked to you and asked you about my look and how it was going and if it looked okay, and you were like, it's pretty, it looks really good.
Which is when Fierce chimes in when she has no business chiming in. No, she has a little bit of business chiming in, I think. Fierce claims that Bombay did the exact same thing to her in the first design challenge, where in the workroom, Bombay told her that her outfit looked good, but then in Untucked said that she should have been in the bottom two.
Bomb, the first week you also told me that you thought I looked really good, and then when we were talking in Untucked, you told me that I should be in the bottom.
Bomb defends herself, saying that, like, she does want to see Chaos do well, and, like, she literally gave her the wig that Chaos was wearing that runway.
If I didn't want to see you do well, I wouldn't have given you that wig you're wearing right now.
That's true. You're right.
And then she also claims that she was just trying to calm Fiercealicious down because she's not a good person to be around when she's stressed.
When Fierce is freaking out, is she a fun person to be around?
No.
Okay, you were freaking out, and at that time, I was like, Fierce, it looks great, finish the outfit.
So she wasn't saying, like, your outfit looks good. She was saying, like, you need to finish the outfit. Like, it's looking good so far. You just need to finish it up, though. Like, you can't walk out in an unfinished garment, which she ended up doing anyway. Bomb defends why she picked Chaos, saying that Jada did get worse critiques, but it was something different that they haven't seen from her, whereas Chaos's main critique was that it was, like, too similar to things that they've seen on other design challenges, including Chaos's first design challenge, which, you know, do with that what you will. Formulate your own opinion on that. Jada says that she thinks her and Chaos got equal amount of intensity in their critiques.
I feel like in terms of the critiques, me and Chaos got the same, I think, level.
And she backs this up by saying, like, oh, like, the judges were, like, laughing with me and, like, my description of the outfit, it was making them giggle. But as Giselle Lullaby so lovely points out, the judges were laughing at, not with.
Girl, it was bad. Brooke didn't laugh at you. She didn't laugh with you. She laughed at you.
And then this moment, I think, perfectly explains why I think this is the most Canadian fight, because, like, the girls are being honest, they are being truthful, they're not lying, but they're also not being nice. You know what I mean? When Chaos says that was my worst critique in terms of, like, the we've seen this before critique, Jada hears that as I got the worst critiques somehow.
With Chaos, they said that it's something that they have seen already.
That's the worst critique, though, is something that they seen me in.
Okay, so you said that's the worst critique, but you said I had the worst critique.
So Jada says, like, okay, so then why did you say I had the worst critiques when you just said you got the worst critiques? And Chaos says, I didn't say you had the worst critiques. I just said I didn't have the worst critiques. And then somebody asks, so who do you think got the worst critiques? And she says, I think Jada got the worst critiques. Chaos.
No.
I didn't say you had the worst critique. I said I just didn't get the worst critiques. I didn't say.
Who do you think got the worst critique?
I do think Jada got the worst critiques, but I didn't say that.
Girl, I can't.
Also, side note, I just think in terms of, like, objectivity, I mean, Chaos has a better outfit than Jada does, right? Like, we can all agree on that. And I also think that objectively, Chaos did get better critiques, because at the end of the day, that was the only reason that she was put in the bottom, was because they've seen it before. Also, in all of this, how did Irma Gerd come out completely unscathed? Because her outfit was fucking crazy. And like, she was critiqued on it. She was in the bottom 3. She was just saved from lip syncing. So in all of this chaos, the girls haven't even discussed who is in the top. And that is when Fierce puts 2 and 2 together and realizes that Bomb is in the top, where she gives us this iconic line delivery.
So is Bomb in the top?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh.
I love that everybody was just like surprised that Bomb was in the top, because I was too. I don't really want to say this because I know how memory sometimes fails us, but like I do want to say that when I was first watching the episode, I thought that Chaos was in the top and Bomb was in the bottom. So Jada is still pissed the fuck off, and she decides to turn her attention to Kimmy Couture and says that she thought that they were good friends, they were good Judies, and she was really mad that Kimmy would say her name on stage.
I just want to say something, and it's really hurting me and fucking me all the way up because Kimmy, I thought me and you was cute. Okay, we know each other from a long fucking time, and you call my name on stage.
And part of the evidence that Jada brings up is the fact that, like, she was consoling Kimmy when her and Fierce were fighting a couple of weeks earlier. And she just, like, airs out so much unnecessary shit. Like, yeah, Fierce literally made, like, Kimmy want to, like, cry and, like, end it all. And I was there. And, like, I literally gave her $100,000 because, like, I was just such a generous person. And, like, I really consoled her. And, like, I bought her a puppy. And then, like, she said my name on stage, and then she pulled out a gun and shot me, and I felt really betrayed in that moment. Obviously, I'm being dramatic, but, like, it was kind of that. And so Fierce is like, wait, what? Hold on.
Like, when Kimmy and you were, like, doing your fight that time when you were, like, rehearsing, Kimmy was in tears to me. I console Kimmy. I know Fierce can be bratty. You're in your head. Like, I console Kimmy.
Wait, but Kimmy, I didn't know you were that upset.
Oh, girl, that's
She
ass,
was.
girl.
Okay, I'm talking to Kimmy.
And she, like, tries to resolve it, but Kimmy shuts it down pretty quickly because, to be fair, like, Fierce was being extremely bratty and mean. And Kimmy brings up a good point of, like, you are adult enough to where you should be able to understand your actions and understand how they affect people.
Well, it did happen. I felt very upset that night. I don't think you really change anyway.
Also, at this point, that was 2 whole episodes ago. Like, they've moved on from that.
Girl, that's not even relevant. That's, like, weeks ago.
So in Untucked, the girls move on. Basically, they go back on the main stage. Jada and Chaos are in the bottom, and Jada sends Chaos home. But the drama does not end there, because in the next episode, the previously on is basically entirely dedicated to Miss Fiercealicious. It's one of the best moments in Canada's Drag Race history. You just watch it.
They keep saying the same fucking advice, girl. She's not a great person to work with.
Girl, you're saying it all right.
Period.
Seems like sabotage. Feels like sabotage. If the saboteur wants to get out of my way. I'm a sad clown today. I'm stressed. I really feel like I don't have my friend here with me.
This is why we need Fiercealicious back on television. Get her on All Stars. I know that she was in Versus the World. I don't give a fuck. Put her on All Stars. Fierce, pick up the fucking phone. So after Chaos goes home, in the workroom, Fierce is silent for literally the first time this season.
What are you thinking, Fierce?
Apparently, Miss Bristolicious is upset with me.
Fierce is upset because she says that, like, she wished Kimmy would have talked to her about her behavior, but both Kimmy and Bomb claim that, like, even if Kimmy did, like, Fierce probably would just freak out and spiral and defend herself.
I didn't bring it up because I'm aware of like how you react, and that's why I ignored you.
Fierce, you ask for honesty, but when it's given to you, you spiral.
And that's when Lady Boom Boom comes in to give her 2 cents.
Do you want to really know what I truly think about all of this?
And I love Lady Boom Boom. I also want her back on All Stars. Lady Boom Boom, pick up the fucking phone. She's so wise. She says, this is not like high school bitches. Like, get into it. She really gets the girls together. She celebrates Giselle on winning the challenge, and then life moves on. If you want to know how this storyline ends, it ends with Fiercealicious coming in, like, the next day and, like, apologizing to all of the girls and saying that she's going to try and do better and be a better person. And while I can confidently say that I think that that's true, that she did become more conscious of her actions, I don't think that that means she ever stopped being herself, which is what I love about her. I think that Miss Fiercelicious is literally one of the building blocks of what Canada's Drag Race is now. I find her so entertaining. I find her so talented. I think that, okay, she's an incredibly talented queen. Let's talk about that, actually. All right, let's move on to season 6, episode 6, which, whew, I'm so excited. Like I said, season 6 is an incredible season. I love this season, every episode, so entertaining. Incredible cast, incredible challenges, incredible performances. I think that this is like literally one of the strongest cast in period. Even like the early out queens like showed such a level of charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. Like it's so insane. So episode 6 is the lip sync slay-offs, in which Ebony LaBelle won after giving one of my favorite lip syncs in Drag Race, period. And like I said, Canada's Drag Race has some interesting twists and challenges, and one of their main twists is seasons 4, 5, and 6 currently. The twist of the golden beaver. I'll try and explain this kind of briefly. Usually in Drag Race, there's like 3 tops and 3 bottoms. Of the tops, somebody wins. Of the bottom, 2 people lip sync, 1 person goes home, right? All of that is decided by the judges. But in Canada's Drag Race, in the more recent seasons, they have the golden beaver, which means that the judges only decide the tops and the bottoms and the winner, and then the winner gets the opportunity to save one of the bottom 3 queens from lip syncing. So at the end of the day, like, you still need to lip sync for your life if you're in the bottom, but like alliances can come into play, and I feel like they really do in this season specifically. So let's get into it. So like I said, the winner of the challenge this week is Ebony LaBelle, and in this particular instance, there are 4 queens in the bottom. She needs to save one of them, and then 2 of them are gonna go home, if that makes sense. So Ebony is a very key player in this fight. I mean, she literally has the power of the Golden Beaver. One of the other people who is super important in this fight is Van Gogh, who is in the bottom, which is kind of like fucked up a little bit. Maybe not fucked up, but just like a little bit rough for the lip sync slayoffs specifically, because if you lose one lip sync, you're in the bottom, period. And like, you have a 50% chance of going home at that point after losing one lip sync. It's a little bit crazy. It's a little bit crazy because like in the American franchise, I think the slayoffs that we're used to don't go up, they go down. So there's not like a winner of the challenge. It's more so like if you win the lip sync, you're safe. And if you continue to lose the lip syncs, you go home. But like in Canada, if you lose 2 lip syncs, you're gone. And one of those lip syncs is against 3 people where you have 2/3 of a chance going home, you know what I mean? Anyways, that's kind of a side tangent. Are there any other key players in this fight? I don't think so. The other girls in the bottom are PM, Maya Fox, and Velma Jones. I think it's important to know that they're in the bottom, but like I don't think I need to give you too much background on them. Actually, the only thing I have to say is that Velma Jones is technically like the first drag king ever cast on Drag Race because she has her drag queen persona, Velma Jones, and her king persona, Johnny Jones. And she showed a little bit of Johnny Jones on the show, and okay, hold on, let me rewind. Like, I had to turn on the AC. Like, it was getting hot in here. I just realized I didn't give you the context that I wanted to about Van Gogh. She had, at this point, knowingly been the villain of the season, and she embraced that title. You know what I mean? Like, she knew that she was a bitch, and she, like, wasn't playing games. She was there to win, and she wasn't afraid to be cutthroat. She also had the best track record. She had 2 wins at this point and was never in the bottom, but she had pulled some stunts and shenanigans throughout the season, one of which is actually kind of important, so we're going to talk about it. So in the first episode, Van, Star, and Hazel were the first 3 queens to enter the workroom, and Van immediately makes an alliance with them.
Sisters.
What's up?
Should we maybe have a little bit of an alliance off the bat?
Well, yes, the first 3 in.
First 3 in, last 3 out.
Fuck that motherfucking tea.
Fast forward to episode 3 where Van won the design challenge and Star was in the bottom for some fucking reason. Like I said, Canada's Drag Race, they do have some crazy judging decisions sometimes. And Van claims that she's going to save Star, literally tells her to her face, like, you're good.
I'm feeling good in the back of my mind because I know that Van is a loyal ass bitch.
Yeah, you're good. Don't worry.
While literally, like, giggling behind her back.
I am here for a reason and I am a shooting star.
And then ending up choosing PM.
I'm gonna say PM.
Like, Van is literally laughing at her and Untucked, lied to her face, and then, like, saved PM like crazy. And then, like, that ended up getting Star eliminated.
Caramel. Shantae, you say. Don't act shocked.
Which is crazy. It's always so heartbreaking whenever queens go home on Drag Race, not because they did bad, but because they just like kept getting dealt the wrong hand, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think Star did bad in the design challenge. I just think that the judges thought she did too much, which, like, I would rather too much than too little. No tea, no shade. And then, like, she didn't do bad in the lip sync either. She just, like, didn't do as good as Caramel did, who was like the lip sync assassin of the season, mind you. Anyways, just keep that in the back of your mind for now, that Van does not give a fuck about alliances and will play dirty and strategic. So the girls are discussing and they're pleading their cases. And Maya Fox points out that Ebony has claimed to be a strategic player throughout the competition. And the strategic thing to do in this moment would be to put Van in the bottom.
Ebony's talked about being a strategic player in this game, and the only other person who has 2 wins is Miss Van. So will she make a strategic move here and potentially help me out in this situation?
However, Van and Ebony are really close friends, and as we're about to find out, they're in an alliance together. And something else that I think is kind of important to note is they were talking about strategy before the lip sync layoffs even started. And I think that they specifically said, like, I'm not gonna pick you, like, we both need to be in the top for the slayoffs. But then Ebony ends up picking the exact same song that Van chose, knowing that Van chose it. I think because she knew she was going to eat up that song, and like at the end of the day, eat up that song she did. She won the lip sync and won the challenge because she won that first lip sync. But I also think that, like, in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, they have an alliance, they're good friends, and also, like, Ebony literally lip synced against her best friend. Lip sync. She competed against her best friend in the competition and won the challenge because of it. And like, her best friend is in the bottom because of her. So I feel like everybody just kind of automatically assumed that she was going to say Van, but that doesn't stop Van from having like a complete mental breakdown in this episode. Maya Fox makes a very serious plea to Ebony to save her.
I think I did a good job today. I don't think I did bad. My track record has been really, really strong. I have so much more fight. I need to be here. I'm the only person here that's actively in the East Coast performing, and people back home don't think that they can do something like this. And I know that me being here is so important for that.
And when Van Goth opens her mouth, it deadass does not take her 10 seconds before she pisses somebody off.
Well, girl, put up a fight. Girl, I'm not used to being in the bottom. Sorry.
Van pleads her case to Ebony and says, if there's a sewing challenge in the future, I'll help you.
And if there's a sewing challenge in the future, I'll help you. That's it.
Which deadass turns into its whole other storyline that continues into the finale. I'm not even kidding. That's why it's kind of hard to explain the drama of season 6, I feel like, because so much of it is so intertwined and like continues throughout the entire season. It's crazy, but that's also why it's so fun to watch. So like I said, at this point, I think everybody is assuming that Ebony will save Van, including Van herself.
I think she's gonna use a beaver on me. I mean, at least I hope she is.
But then Ebony kind of throws a curveball and says, Van, listen, Diva, if I didn't save you, would you be mad at me? And Van is like, Diva, yes.
If I didn't use the beaver on you this week and you had to fight in the bottom, you gonna hate me?
That would actually really, really hurt.
Could you imagine like being in that moment and getting asked that question and being like, no, I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be angry if you didn't pick me, if you didn't save me from like lip syncing and possibly going home and like crushing my dreams. And while Van is saying like, yeah, this would hurt, she exposes the fact that they have an alliance.
Girl, I said to you day one, I said, I will have alliance with a ton of people, but you're the only person I'll really be honest with and actually keep that with.
And she also says like something along the lines of, you can call me a lot of things, but you can never call me a liar. I've said everything to your face. Quite literally after like maybe 2 minutes saying that she said that she would lie to everybody to their face about having an alliance. And like I said, literally lied to Star's face and sent her home, basically.
I've been a lot of things in this competition. I've been a bitch, I've been nice, I've been a sister. But something you can never say that I haven't been is a liar or dishonest. I'm gonna say PM.
Now, Saltina Shaker gets into all of this, who I don't even know if I put her in the key players. I meant to, because she is a key player, but Saltina gets into all this because Ebony asks the girls for their opinion and who they would save if they were in this position.
I'd like to hear from everyone else. Please help me.
And Saltina says that she would save Velma, partly because she's her drag family, but also because she saw that her friend was really defeated in that moment and wanted to give her some uplifting.
Honestly, Velma, seeing you like this is like literally killing me. All these new things that you're trying, you are succeeding in. And I want you to believe it like I do now. So I would say Velma.
Now, Van feels some type of way about this. I hate to say it, but just roll the clip.
Van's giving me a little smirk. What do you think?
Go do your thing.
No, but what do you think?
I think that's fucking bullshit.
Why?
Because you fucking sitting here like track record, bitch, I have the fucking best track record in the fucking bottom, and you're gonna sit there and be like, oh, let's say Velma again. And I get that she feels fucking down, but you were also the one that sat back here week fucking 2 and said the person with the most fucking fight, and you're telling me that that's the person you would save. Girl, whatever.
I was watching this with my family over Christmas break, and when that subtitle hit the screen, we all fucking lost it. It was like top 3 giddiest moments of my entire life, which like another moment on that list is going to be on this list. So just just stay tuned. That's also, I meant to say this at the beginning. My head, I don't think is like screwed on straight today. I meant to say that like all of the clips that I'm going to show you are probably going to have subtitles, partly because that's how I watch TV. And so like, it was just like set that way, but also because I wanted to show you that visual gag because it's hilarious. Van's argument is basically that when Saltina was in Ebony's position, her opinion was track record and fight. And Van has the best track record, and Velma Jones has the least amount of fight and is the most defeated in that moment, which like is true, but like, okay, damn bitch, hello? Like just kicking Velma while she's down. Crazy. Saltina claps back and says like, well, I've changed throughout the competition, so like my opinions are going to change throughout the competition. And like in this moment, yeah, I see my friend is defeated and I know that she has more to give, and if I was in Ebony's position, I would save her.
Do you not see how much I've grown throughout this competition since the beginning? Of course my opinions, of course all these things are gonna change. Velma has a connection with me. I see her right now, I see her in her head, and I wanna make my friend feel better. I would save Velma for that reason.
And I think it's hypocritical.
And Van is just plotting and scheming in her brain and being like, that can't be true. Somebody cannot be feeling compassion for their friend. I think that what I'm going to say in my head is that Saltina wants me gone because I'm competition. So she says that.
If you want me in the bottom because you think I'm a threat or you think this, whatever, just fucking say that.
Van,
just fucking say that.
No, that's not the truth. That's not who I am.
So while Van Goth is calling Saltina Shaker out for being hypocritical, Maya is also calling Van Goth out for being hypocritical because, like, she kind of is.
Van has been a very cutthroat player in this game, talking about taking out top competition, talking about pitting friends against each other, and really playing this game strategically. For her to try to play this card right now, I think is a little hypocritical.
It's like, if you're going to be a player in the game, you can't get mad if the game gets played on you. And Van has been talking about being a strategic and cutthroat player.
Girl, fuck who did the worst, fuck who did the best. The two of you are in the fucking bottom, I have the power, and I'm gonna decide what I feel is right.
But when that gets pointed in her direction, she freaks out and melts down. So the girls call out Van for her behavior, and it ends with an iconic just walkout. We are going to get into the iconic walkouts of Canada's Drag Race there. I think that it's actually the next couple of fights that I'm talking about that just have iconic walking away shots. I love it.
There's a lot of emotion here tonight. I just have to make a motherfucking decision.
And then on the main stage, Ebony gives the Golden Beaver to Van Gogh. I mean, it was pretty obvious, but you know.
I am going to choose my sister Van Gogh.
Thank you for being one of the only real ass fucking bitches in here.
But I'm not going to tell you who goes home that episode because, I mean, if you want to know, you're just gonna have to watch the season. Moving on to another design challenge, and that is one of my favorite challenges, period, in this entire show, in this entire franchise. I love it. I want them to do it every single season. And that is the Brooklyn Heights Design Challenge, where the queens have to make an outfit for Brooklyn Heights to wear on the main stage. Now, I don't even think that I've really addressed how beautiful Brooklyn Heights is in this video, but I think we just need to take a moment for Brooklyn Heights. Oh my God, she is just so beautiful, kills the runway every single time, incredible performer. She's been like performing on Canada's Drag Race, like they've been letting her just like perform recently, and I love it when they do because she's an incredible performer. She also has some incredibly killer runway looks, which are all, I'm sure, custom and expensive and took months to make, but the girls have to make an outfit for her in a day. What's gonna happen? Shenanigans are probably going to ensue, and they sure do. Now, this is season 5, so the Golden Beaver twist is in effect, but they always stop it at the top 6. So this episode is the first episode in the season where they don't have the Golden Beaver. So because of this, they are trying to discuss the tops and the bottoms and figure out, you know, who's going to be lip syncing, who might go home, who might win, etc., etc. They quickly figure out the top 2 being Minnie and Helena.
Based off design and also runway, I think top.
I think top.
I think top.
And the bottom 2 probably being Xana and the Virgo Queen.
I think we can all agree that I am in the motherfucking bottom here.
I'm nervous to be in the bottom. I don't like being in this position.
But Perla and Michaela Couture are kind of in the middle, and they can't tell, like, who is who.
And then out of
I feel
you
like we're
two-
kind of like the toss-up.
They both had pretty even critiques. I think that Perla had a better outfit for Brooklyn and had like a better runway, but her outfit for Brooklyn malfunctioned.
Yes, I had a malfunction. Her ass looked great anyways.
And then Michaela had a really solid outfit for Brooklyn, which was like incredible compared to her last design challenge. She had a really good outfit on the runway, but she also had a wardrobe malfunction on her runway.
But unfortunately, my dress rips. Ooh, the gentleman callers can see my ass.
So between the two of them, especially like after you watch their critiques, they really are like neck and neck, and it's kind of unclear who is like the third person in the top and then like who is in the low position and like who will be saved from lip syncing. Now, like I said, Michaela Couture did not do good in the first design challenge, and so in this particular moment she is just really happy about the positive feedback that she got from the judges, and she says something along the lines of like, nothing can take away my joy in this moment, like I'm so happy. And she says that even if she is in the bottom, she's still very proud of herself and the work that she did, and she's not super upset about it.
Even if I am gonna be in the bottom today, I'm really proud of what I did.
I love that.
I don't think anyone could take away this joy. Like,
You
I
should be
feel
so proud.
Thank you.
You really should be.
So she's in very high spirits, and Xana takes that moment to just knock her down a couple of pegs.
I'm not going to disagree. You're fucking talented, but like, yes, your runway was cute, but Brooklyn did trip up on it. Like, you had one of the only ones that she did fumble just slightly on it.
I'm sorry.
She did stumble just slightly on something on there.
Xana points out and brings up literally every single negative thing that the judges had to say about her, and like about every single thing that she messed up. And Michaela is like, Diva, what the fuck? I literally just said like, you can't take away my joy. and now you're trying to take away my joy? Like, don't fucking piss me off. And she even claims in confessionals that, like, she's talked to Xana because Xana is, like, this season's villain who, like, knows that she's a villain and know that she's a bitch and knows that she likes to poke the bear a little bit. And apparently Michaela said that if Xana ever gets her there, like, if Xana ever pisses her off, she will not be happy. And let me just say that Xana got Michaela there, okay?
Stop trying to nitpick at me. I told her that from the jump, because if she gets me there, she will not like me. And now we're here.
Michaela starts off her rant basically by saying, like, I've never tried to make you feel low in this competition. I've never tried to take away your happy moments. I've always tried to, like, lift you up when you're down.
No point in this fucking competition have I ever tried to make you feel low. And every single time I'm feeling good about myself, you try to bring me down. So you know what? I'm gonna save my fucking energy and fuck you.
And in this intense emotion, she starts walking out of the workroom, but not before just getting in a few final little words.
Like, fuck this bitch. I have never tried to make you feel fucking low. And this is the shit you pull?
And when she storms out of the workroom, she is yelling to the point where the judges can hear her and they think that she quit the competition.
Like, are you fucking kidding? No, I'm done. I am sick of her shit.
So like, someone just quit?
So while Michaela is, like, out of the room, probably, like, talking to a producer or smoking a cigarette or something, Xana explains / defends her behavior and actions.
It's not me critiquing her. It's me pointing out what is going on in the room.
Are you just poking the bear, though, Zan?
I'm not poking the bear. There's things that did happen, and that is the truth.
And while Xana explains some of her actions, she says something with some very unfortunate timing, and that is exactly when Michaela walks back into the room and immediately starts reading her down.
Brooklyn tripped on her runway. She fucking did.
And she tripped up on your fucking outfit too. Let me tell you something.
I don't even really want to say that she's reading her because she's not. She's straight up just being like, you're a horrible human being. I hate you. I want you to die in a ditch. I think that you are the root of all evil in this world. Obviously, she doesn't say that, but, like, she does go crazy, and, like, even the other girls are shocked.
You are a small, tiny ass human being. And that is exactly why you bring down everyone else in the room. Don't ever try to make me feel small, because I don't do that to you. You are disgusting. And you've truly lost a friend, because I'm done with you. Done.
Minnie tries to give her some perspective on the situation, saying, like, hey, one of you could, like, go home tonight. Like, do you really want this tension and conflict to go unresolved?
Michaela, I know that you're really hurt right now, but to call someone disgusting, I don't want you to regret that in the end.
Xana says she's willing to talk about it if Michaela wants to, but Michaela does not want to. So they end up just changing the conversation.
I would love to resolve this, but I will respect whatever route you would wish to take here.
I'm ready to change the fucking conversation.
So that's your answer. We're gonna move on.
Michaela has another incredible, iconic walking away shot. Which is just so... I'm so obsessed with Michaela Couture. Listen, okay, we talked about Kimmy Couture. The Couture family on Canada's Drag Race, they just dominate. They just eat it up every single time. They are, like, I think the drag powerhouse family. And I do want Kimmy Couture and Michaela Couture back on Canada All-Stars. Thank you to the Wow Presents Plus team member watching this, and thank you to the Coutures. Now you may be wondering, is Minnie Wang a prophet? And in a way she is, because Xana did go home that episode, and so there really isn't a lot of tension that goes resolved, but, like, that's what I said. I love Canada's Drag Race because, like, Michaela and Xana, they are good sisters. They are fine. I would be surprised if it even took them a week to, like, rekindle their friendship. Also in this fight, the Virgo Queen says, have your moment, Miss Melinda.
But, girl, I
have your moment, Miss Melinda.
Which brings us perfectly into our next fight, Season 4, Episode 4 and 5, which I am going to call, I know that I haven't given any other of the fights a name, but I'm going to call this Melinda Virgo versus the world. I'm going to pee before we even get into this because this is we're going to be here for a minute. All right, let's get into this. It's another fucking design challenge. I'm telling you, Canada's Drag Race and design challenges, you know you are going to get a good, juicy fight. And when I tell you that all of the girls have their claws out this episode, all of the girls have their claws out this episode. So I'm going to explain the key players in this fight because I'm probably going to end up mentioning every single queen in the cast. First up is Melinda Virgo, who I feel like is obviously the main player in Melinda Virgo versus the world. So far in the competition, the judges have loved her personality, but they have not loved her runway looks, and that has been an issue that had been brought up with her multiple times. So when it came to a design challenge and something that she was making in the workroom, they wanted to see something extravagant. They wanted to see it's gonna sound crazy and a little bit shady to say this, but like they wanted to see a good runway from her. I think that the word they used was elevated. They wanted to see something elevated. However, Melinda Virgo, poor diva, just does not do that. And she wears this, which I don't think is bad, but I also just don't think was the challenge. The challenge was couture, you know, like, okay, this is Melinda Virgo's outfit and this is the winner of the challenge. There's a difference. Speaking of the winner of the challenge, Kiki Ko is kind of a key player because, like I said, she's the winner and she has the Golden Beaver, and this fight is going to stem because the girls are fighting for the Golden Beaver. Other key players are Amy Yonsei Chanel and Nira Nuff, both of who are also in the bottom with Melinda. Nira and Amy had both been doing like okay throughout the competition. I think Nira had been doing a little bit worse, but also, in my opinion, had an objectively better look, but we'll get there. I love saying, in my opinion, objectively better. Obsessed with that. I also feel like Venus and Denim are pretty key players in this fight, but I don't have too much context for them other than Denim was also in the top for this challenge, and apparently Melinda helped her make her outfit. So Kiki Ko asks the girls to plead their case, and Niranoff gets things started and brings up a very valid point about the fact that her look is the best out of the three. So Nira makes her case, Kiki moves on to Melinda, and Melinda gags the girls a little bit and says, I don't want to be saved. I don't think you should save me.
Why should I save you? I don't think you should save me. Wait, girl, what?
She says that, like, she's done with the competition, she doesn't want it as much, and the girls try to, like, pull her together a little bit, but like everybody is more pissed off at the fact that Melinda starts defending her outfit and saying that like she's tired of being a punching bag for the judges.
For me to be used week after week after week after week as a fucking punching bag.
And we get some really iconic, incredible moments in her defense of this outfit.
This is fucking Vivienne Westwood inspired. I was feeling my goats.
And the editors do the second shadiest thing in the entire world, but they cut back to the previous day where in the workroom, Melinda was literally talking about the fact that like she was taking the judges' critique. And then they immediately cut back to her freaking out over the critiques that the judges gave her. Melinda walks out of the workroom. She doesn't storm out of the workroom yet.
This is not the tea for me.
But she just takes a few minutes, talks with a producer, which literally sounds like a PR written YouTuber apology. But then we move on to how Amy Yonsei Chanel feels. Which, oh my gosh, things get so emotional so quickly. Like, 1 second, Amy is just, like, chatting and kikiing and just, like, literally, like, throwing something on the ground and, like, not giving a fuck.
We're not playing here as the sister, like, oh, Amy's on the bottom, and now...
And then, like, 10 seconds later, like, tears and snot they're just, like, covering her face.
It's been so hard. I'm working so hard.
So Kiki says that like she has a really hard decision to make, which is what the girls say literally every time. And Nira and Denim are both quick to chime in, saying, like, if there's a girl who is saying that, like, she doesn't want to be here, like, send her home. And then Nira, with the assumption that Melinda is going to be in the bottom and that Kiki isn't going to save Melinda, argues against Amy's look and says, like, there's a clear difference. Mine is obviously better. I should be saved. Nira is in it to win it. She's locked in. She is pleading her fucking case. I think at one point, Amy says, like, this is all hot glued together, to which Nira responds,
It's glue.
I'm sorry, there's a seam right here. You're covered in towels.
which A, hilarious, iconic, and B, I don't know if that indicates that that's the only seam on her dress, but if it is, that is fucking so funny that she pointed to the only seam on the dress. Because she didn't say, like, I have seams on this dress, like, I sewed this dress. She said, there's a seam right here. Amy and Nira just continue to get into it, and Nira claims that, like, even if she is in the bottom, she could easily send Amy home in a lip sync.
You're sitting on the bottom.
And I can send you the fuck home.
Okay.
Bye, Amy.
To which Amy turns to Kiki and says, okay, then save Melinda.
Save Melinda. Save Melinda.
Oh, girl.
And let's do a show.
But before we get to see who gets the golden beaver, Nira just throws in one little last comment.
Can you even do the splits?
So at this point, there is kind of an argument to be made for all three queens, except for Melinda. But like, even then, there is kind of an argument for her. Kiki decides to gag the girls, and she chooses to save Melinda.
The queen that I save is Melinda.
Which I cannot believe. I cannot believe. I don't think anybody in the world could believe when she did that. I don't think any of the girls could believe that she did that. I don't think Melinda could believe that she did that. So Amy, Yonsei, Chanel, and Near Enough end up lip syncing. They give a really good lip sync, and it ends up being a double Shantae, which I think is fair and valid. I don't disagree with that. But personally, based off of the footage provided to us, I don't think that Amy, Yonsei, Chanel knew the words to that song at all. So like I said, this fight lasts 2 episodes. So we're going to get into episode 5 to where all of the girls are pissed.
We all have something to say.
There's so much tension in the room, and Amy kicks everything off by asking if the girls thought that she was going to go home, and basically everybody says yes. But Nira admits that she hasn't really been nice to Amy, and that she would have felt really bad not having a moment to resolve things if Amy ended up going home. But Amy kind of shuts that down and is like, well, that's how you feel, and like, I don't really give a fuck about you, or which sounds a little bit crazy. But she also did just say that Nira is a fucking bitch and she's getting high off of how bitchy Nira is.
But you don't have to apologize for that because that's the way you feel, and I do respect that.
And then Denim is the first one to bring up Melinda, which thank God. Denim, you did the Lord's work with this fight. You were the one that was just very quietly just like, hey, so what about Melinda, guys? Hey, can we like not forget about the fact that Melinda just said that she wanted to quit. However, Melinda refutes the fact that she gave up, saying that like she got ready to lip sync and she was ready to like put on a show and do what she needed to do. And then she like goes on about people believing in her, about how her presence in this competition is much bigger than herself and how she recognizes that now. These girls are not having it. And Melinda even calls out Denim and says that like, I helped you make your outfit and it would have been nice to have a little bit of acknowledgement on that stage. And Denim makes the very fair point of like, she doesn't owe the judges that particularly. And at the end of the day, it's an individual challenge. And like Denim came up with the design. Denim did most of the work. I mean, I'm assuming. And Melinda just like helped her. And Melinda helping with Denim's dress like fully wouldn't have changed the fact that Melinda's outfit was shit. Now, when Nira says, you said that you didn't want to be here, Melinda responds, at that point, yes. So where the editors do the first shadiest thing in the entire world and cut to, I kid you not, 43 minutes earlier. And I love that they did that. I love that they gave us that timestamp. It is a genius decision. Firstly, because it's entertaining, but secondly, because Melinda says a lot has happened between then and now, and I feel like putting 43 minutes earlier and giving us the exact same time frame really allows the audience to understand like just how little time has passed. Because like I watched this live, and so at this point I was watching this moment a week after it happened. So knowing that like these two moments were 43 minutes apart, hilarious, obsessed. Venus directs the energy off of Melinda for a moment and puts it onto Kiki Ko because she wants to know, well, why did you save Melinda? He claims that, Melinda has been doing well and that she just felt like Melinda was really defeated and she didn't want to see her in that state again. And I love this cast because nobody is having this. Nobody is taking this as an acceptable answer. The girls are still so pissed off and they're like, we shouldn't have to beg girls to be here. We shouldn't be like saving if somebody is really defeated. You knew what you were getting into. You knew that this was a competition. You knew girls were going to go home. Like, get into it. This is not like high school, bitches, get into it. So one might assume that this fight is starting to wrap up, especially because Venus says to Melinda, like, you can't ever say that again. Like, if you ever feel that way, like, we don't want to hear it. And Melinda interprets that as, you shouldn't have said what you said. So then Melinda gets extremely defensive and really frustrated, saying that, like, she shouldn't have to hide what she's feeling. And, like, if she's feeling something, she should be able to express it. And, like, she said what she said. She can't take back what she said. Tries to clear things up, but it is much too late because Mount Melinda is about to explode. So Melinda is having, like, a full meltdown at this point.
And I needed to reciprocate that with gratitude. And that's why I said, we are doing it.
There are some really iconic moments after Melinda storms out, which is just another iconic walking away shot.
Melinda, we are blowing up what I said.
I think at some point she says something like, I'm not here for it, and Venus hears that and yells, well, we're not here for it either!
I'm not here for it.
Well, we're not here for it either. Fuck!
And after Melinda comes back in, Venus kind of like clears things up with her, saying that she doesn't want to fight with her anymore, and Melinda agrees, and they decide to like calm down, they move on. But Amy apparently still does want to fight because she starts bringing the safe girls into this, saying, how do you feel about your outfits? And Venus was safe, I think, just by the skin of her teeth. And she acknowledges that too and says, like, yeah, I'm gagged that I was safe.
I mean, I was obviously shocked.
And Melinda says, you should be.
Yeah, you should be. Honestly.
Melinda, please, diva. And then Amy just decides to come for Luna Dubois' look for no fucking reason, who also had like a really solid look. When I was watching this episode, I thought that Luna was going to be in the top.
I mean, you have a pen where you open on the sides, and that's couture.
We're not gonna come for my look right now. Thank you.
They get into like a little mini tuffle, but like at this point, all of the girls are tired, they are pissed, they are angry, they've had a long day.
Question was
I
like,
literally
for
said,
example,
I feel
Aurora,
great. I
I
feel great about my look.
Absolutely.
You're just going past
We're
like,
going
shut
in
up.
circles again.
And Nira decides to do the classic, let's get out of drag and let's move on. And while that is the end of that specific fight, it does have implications for the rest of the season that I'm going to get into. I truly believe in terms of like storylines, it's a turning point in the season. So I want to give you some sneak peeks of the rest of the season because I think that season 4 is an incredibly solid season. Also a really good one to start off with if you're new. I personally would just watch it in order, but like maybe I should get into that at the end. I'll get into that a little bit more at the end. The next week's episode is Snatch Game, which by the way, Melinda does come in and like apologize to the girls for freaking out and like says that like she's gonna lock in basically, and she does. Melinda has a crazy comeback. She wins the challenge in a really good runway. Yeah, a really good runway. I was gonna say for her, but I do think that it's a good runway. And also, she has the Golden Beaver that week, if you remember, and she ends up saving Kiki Ko from the bottom because, obviously, Kiki saved Melinda. But it was kind of a controversial take because when the Golden Beaver twist was introduced, which, by the way, this was the first season that it was introduced, And the girls were like, I don't think that anybody should get the beaver more than once. Like, I think that it's a one and done thing. That wasn't a rule, but like, the girls felt like you shouldn't get the beaver twice. And Kiki had already gotten the beaver a couple of weeks earlier, and this was the second time that she got the beaver. After I think the other girls in the bottom too, Luna had been in the bottom, but she was never given the beaver. And Aurora, I don't think had been in the bottom at that point, and also had a challenge win in her belt. Also, during the lip sync slayoffs this season, Near Enough ends up picking the same song as Amy, and she directly says to Amy's face, to the judges, that she did it because there was unfinished business. So, like, she literally wanted a rematch of their double Shantae, which, like, not a bad move because Nira ended up winning that lip sync and the challenge, and then ended up like sending Amy home because of that. Like, she beat Amy in the lip sync, didn't save her with the golden beaver, and then Amy went home. Gag. Melinda does well throughout the competition after this point, but she does get eliminated at top 5, which I usually wouldn't mention, but I'm saying that because she's on UK versus the world right now. So, I mean, hopefully she's doing well. I'm very intrigued to see how she's going to do and how RuPaul is going to be perceived by her. I am so excited to hear RuPaul and Melinda Verga just talk it out. Hi, Divas. I come here with some breaking news. Firstly, yes, I did bleach my hair. No, I don't want to talk about it. It's probably going to be different next time you see me, so we can just, stay quiet about it. But the main reason that I'm here is because, like I mentioned, UK versus the World is currently airing, and episode 2 just came out the other day, and 2 major things happened that I feel like I need to tell you guys about. Firstly, they introduced the new format for UK versus the World, which is the exact same format as the Golden Beaver, but they call theirs the Chippy Tea.
I would love to give this
Chippy Tea?
Chippy Tea!
Which I think is possibly the first time that like a RuPaul hosted franchise has like went with a format change from another franchise, if that makes sense. It's crazy. It's crazy that RuPaul hosted franchises are like trying to get on Canada's nachos, you know what I mean? And then the other thing that I wanted to mention was, remember how I said hopefully Melinda Verga does well? She was indeed first eliminated.
Melinda Verga, everyone knows you're a star. Now, sashay away.
But like, shout out to Melinda Verga. I love you so deeply. She's mother. Like, I really want her on every single season of Drag Race, not even as like a competitor or like a judge, just like somebody who is there to like hang out and chat with the girls. Anyways, I think that's all I have to say. Bleached my hair, Melinda Verga went home. Chippy Tea is fucking crazy. Like, it's so stupid. And like, the show literally acknowledges that it's stupid.
I'm sorry, I know this is a big dramatic twist, but I just can't get over RuPaul saying Chippy Tea.
But nevertheless, I will not be tuning in to UK versus the World season 3 anymore because Melinda Verga went home first. That's a lie. I absolutely will be tuning in. But I will not be happy about it. So those are the 4 fights that I'm telling you about today. I could keep going, and maybe I will. Maybe I'll do another video about Canada's Drag Race fights, because I didn't even address season 1 and 2. 2, because it doesn't really have a lot of fights, even though it's a really, really good season. And 1, because I just didn't want to. But they have some really good fights. It truly is a one-of-a-kind show, even though it's part of a franchise that now has a version in like every single country. And if you're gonna watch Canada's Drag Race, which, like I said, I heavily recommend you do, this is going to be very salesperson-y of me, and I'm very sorry about that, but it's available on WoW Presents Plus, along with all of the international seasons of Drag Race, except if you're in Canada. If you're in Canada, I think it's on Crave. I could be wrong about that. I don't know how Crave works. I don't live in Canada. So like, I also would recommend just watching it in order. I feel like that's best. But like, season 1 is a little bit crazy. Season 1 is a little bit crazy, a little bit controversial. And it's a very different show from season 2 and like beyond. So I would say either watch it in order or watch season 2, 4, or 6 first. But I would probably say 2 or 4. But, like, I love every single season for a bunch of different reasons. I love all of the queens who have appeared, even if I've said some nasty, horrible comments about them. I haven't been too mean in this video, have I? And remember, it's not personal, it's just drag. Show all of the Canadian queens some love. Go watch Canada's Drag Race, you know, tip the queens if you can. And I mean, that is all that I have for you guys today. So, peace out. Love you lots, and I'll see you when I see you.